Hey guys, it's Steve. Sorry, I actually lost track of time and I was headed off to drop a check off at escrow for a property. So I think I've realized after conversing with some of you over the last few days what I need to do on my end to make it more streamlined. And I'm in the process of developing an AI for that. Basically, it's a guidance tool. If you guys got the system down, great. But I think there's confusion between the spreadsheets um, and everything else, basically. So, but here's the process. You collect the data, you fill out the form. The form should match the questions on the sheet. If there are questions that are not on the form, let me know, we'll add them. Because we want all the information in the system. If you don't get it all in the first shot, that's fine. You don't need to log in to start an initial file. You use the link to the public available sheet, the form. I'm in the process of developing a resources section on REI homepage, which will walk you through this and it'll have the link to the sheets and everything else. But that's the first step when you get a seller on the line. I don't care if they give you full information, partial information, or you just find out they actually exist and own the property. We open them up as a seller. What we do with them after that will change. And so then when you collect more information, that's when you log into the system and you change it directly in Go High Level. Part of that form is going to Batch Leads or PropWire or PropStream or your happy other neighborhood, not Zestimate, not anybody's estimate. I want you to look at the actual comps, compare the comparables. Oh, this one's 4-bedroom, 1,200 square feet. Ours is 3-bedroom, 1,900 square feet. Okay. First of all, that should be a red flag. Why is less bedrooms so many more square feet? But okay, so if mine is 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and this one's 4-bedroom, 2-bath, mine is less. Mine will finish for a lower sale price. The comps are dipped in gold. The comps are dipped in crap. Blah, 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 blah. So you're researching that, and researching more than one tool. That's why we ask for Zillow. We ask for Redfin. We ask for PropWire. We ask for just all the information you can dump in there. Pictures, what works, what doesn't. Then you talk to us before you talk to the seller. So you've talked to the seller, you've collected information. But if you make the mistake of, even if you're on the phone with the seller and you're comping it, if you make the mistake of running over and saying, hey, Mr. Seller, it's worth 90 grand. Well, you've just screwed yourself because now he has 90 in his head. And when you come back and say, well, we can buy it for 75, might be the perfect. He's going to, wait a second, you told me 90. And he's going to feel like you lied to him. Don't lie to him. You do the research, you collect with me and Ryan, we guide you to the, and then we all decide who's going to call him back and how we're going to do the callback. Important when you Google it and use Zillow and Redfin, see if it's listed. If it's listed, we're out. If it's got a professional write-up, we got to ask him, hey, listen, where did you get that really great write-up? Because we know you didn't do it. And so you're collecting information, you're filling out the form, and you're Alex. I see you trying, but it's not staying connected. So you and I got to talk. You can go to the YouTube. By the way, you can watch it live on the YouTube. Right here. Literally, this is me right now. Which would really help a lot if I'd actually broadcast that image. That's okay. It's youtube.com Steve Franco REI, which I will show you here. Here I am, me. Much better picture of me than I am today. But anyway, so youtube.com Steve Franco REI/streams/live. And this is literally me now. Oh, it's a really great picture they're getting up my nose. I love it. And thank you, Alex, for reminding me what time it was today. But anyway, so you collect the data, you, me, and Ryan, or you and Ryan, or you and me, or some combination. Go through the data, answer the remaining questions, come up with a ballpark estimate. And sometimes you don't have a lot to go on. Connor and I talked about one this morning that we basically had a 5-minute phone call with the guy. And the guy couldn't talk until 3. So, okay, great. We just now nail it down, get a number, move on. But we now understand a little bit more about the neighborhood and what things are selling for and whatever. And mathematically, it's 90% of the... So, here's where the curve goes. The ARV is, let's say, 150 to 200. 40th percentile between those two numbers. So 175, 150 to 200. The middle number is 75, 175. A little below that, say 170. So 170 is what we think it's going to sell for. We're not shooting to the top of the mark. We're not shooting to the toilet. A little below the middle. Then you 90% that. I'm sorry, then you 70% that. So you've taken the 40 percentile middle ARV after repair value, finished, dipped in gold. 70% of that. So let's 175, and I'm going to round that up because it's easier. We'll call it 180. 2/3 of that is 120 because 60, 60, 60 is 180. Take a third off. 70%, 2/3, so damn close is 3% off. Go with it. 120. So the house finish is going to sell for 150 to 200, which we call it 170. Now, 70% of that, 110. 70% of 170, about 110. That's the flipper, the guy who puts his money on the deal. That's the guy who puts his money on the deal can spend 110 grand. We want to make 10 grand of that, so we take 10 grand off the top. We then spin down to another, whatever the repair value is, repair estimate, let's say 50 grand. So we're going to sell it for 170. 2/3 of 170 is, let's say, 110. 110, we want to make a $10,000 wholesale fee, so that's 100. Now there's 50 grand of work, 50. The most we can give that seller is probably about 50. And then you and Ryan, you and me, you, me, and Ryan, some combination of that will decide before we call him back, how are we talking him into that? Or how are we, like Ryan would always do. Start at 60, it's 50. Start at 40, go to 55, call it a day. If we can't get him within those ranges, maybe it's start at 45, go to 55 because he's not that motivated. Great. So you've eliminated a realtor condition, whatever. And at that point is when we call you, me, you and me, you and Ryan, you, whatever. Call the guy back and have a conversation. Now they're going to ask what the process is. Real simple. We sign a contract. We have 4 weeks to get whoever we want to in that building. Investors, money people. We always say money people and contractors. Doesn't matter, they're not our people. Money people and contractors. And then within that 4 weeks, usually sometime under that, we're giving a thumbs up or thumbs down. And we just gave a thumbs down to a lady today. We're 3 weeks into the contract. They said, listen, no one's calling. We'd like to drop the price. No, I don't want to drop the price. Okay. So you're giving up? No, we're running out our contract. We're doing what we can. But just be aware, you may need to get flexible or creative. And once they sign, we have 4 weeks to get our people in there. And we before we get our people in there, and we then we'll go to title. If it's thumbs up, we go to title. What's the total process time? 6 weeks. We will answer those questions for you and with you to the seller. But the important thing here is that we're trying to streamline how you remember where to go in the process, because until you've done it a couple dozen times. The last thing I want to cover today, and Alex, I wish you were around if you had any questions. Nobody else really showed up today, but the last thing is, and then I'll let you all go, we will have by Monday, we're considering buying an auto dialer, which is actually, will dial the phone numbers for yourself. We're only buying one, so you're all going to have to share it. We're not buying one for everybody. It simply speeds up the dialing process. Batch leads is fairly fast. This is even faster. But we have lots of data options coming in. And remember, guys, most of this, in theory, is you guys learning how to generate leads. We talked to you about bandit signs, flyers. Will, I did order new cards for you, and I did mail you out some cards as well. Guys, I'm happy to send you generic cards. Will is actually a licensed agent, so the brokerage firm sends him his first pack of cards. You get licensed, you get your first pack of cards. 570-798-7051 if you have any questions. I don't see anybody around, so I'm going to cut this one short. Thanks.